in life, there's always setbacks, whether you're in a valley or not. There's always things that prop up and challenge us. Setbacks are part of the journey, but they're not the end of it.
When life breaks you with grief, burnout, or devastating loss, Jeremy Greening is the guy who helps you rebuild after 20 years walking with people through rock bottom moments. He created Valleys to Victory. It is a coaching movement helping others find purpose, peace, and progress after pain. He's here with us on Pat Mesiti's best-selling author podcast. He was recently co-published with Mr. Pat in a book called Stories of Strength, and he has helped people navigate life's toughest seasons. So he's here to share about the victory framework and just tell us what he's learned, what we need to hear, because it is a tough world out there, and sometimes life just gives you the randomness, but it's not about what you get hit with, it's about how you pick yourself back up. And so Mr. Jeremy is here to just help us rebuild, begin the journey forward, etc. So, Mr. Jeremy, glad to see you. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you, Robert. And thanks for having me on the podcast today. Looking forward to speaking to the community and sharing a bit about what I do.
Of course. Happy to have you. Well, speaking of what you do, what do you think I left out of that introduction? What are you all about? What makes you special?
I guess what makes me unique is anyone can offer advice. I think we know that. We've learned that in life. But what makes me unique is I don't just teach people how to get out of a tough place, but I walk them through it. I've been through my own journey of grief and my own valleys, had my own things that I've had to face. And I'd like to think that going through that has made me someone that is ideal to walk people through their difficult seasons. And so I don't offer quick fixes. There's no such thing, but there's certainly a journey, and I offer a pathway for people. It's real, it's practical, it's hope-filled, and my goal is just to turn people's pain into purpose so they can keep moving forward in their lives.
Wonderful. I like it because it seems like if you don't turn your pain into purpose, it can be so easy to live there, get stuck there, make it a pity party, or even if you do move on, you think back to it or you bring others down. And we want to build others up, right? We want to say, hey, I've been through this and I want to help others who maybe are lost and unfocused find their positivity. And you have me really curious about these struggles that you mentioned, your own journey. So like, what have you suffered and gone through?
Yeah, back in 2013, my wife and I moved to a small country town where we knew nobody. We had a 3-week-old son. He'd just been born. And it was a big move for us to move away from our comfort zone, our friends, our family, our work. And we actually became pastors in a church in a small country town called Stanthorpe in Queensland, Australia. And that was great. But when we moved, over the course of the next couple of years, we faced some pretty horrendous things. The first one was within 2 months of moving. My dad had gone overseas and had passed away from a heart attack suddenly. So that was a real shock to the system. I had to leave my wife and little newborn to go over to, it was in America where this happened, and support my family and bring dad's ashes home and just face and deal with all of that. A year later, I was in a real crazy car accident that really should have taken me out, but here I am on purpose. So obviously meant to still be here to be sharing with people. But facing the journey of a year of recovery after that, it was significant. The other driver fell asleep at the wheel and basically banged right into me at 100 k's an hour. So the police and fire engines, all those people were like amazed nobody died at that scene. So I had to deal with that. And then a couple of months after my car accident, my my mother-in-law, she passed away from her own car accident. So you can just see how all these things can stack up and overwhelm you. But I've walked through that journey and learned that turning pain into purpose is the best attitude you can take through your grief, because now as a pastor, I'm able to help coach and mentor all sorts of people through difficult challenges and grief and loss and things that they face, simply because I've walked that pathway as well.
Well, very nice. Well, I'm sorry that some of these things happened to you, especially out of your control, but what else is there to do besides moving forward? And if someone out there says, maybe they're in the middle of it, right? Maybe they've had all this bad happen to them and they say, oh, well, it's so easy for you to say, Mr. Jeremy, to turn pain into purpose, but like, what is the jumping off point? How does, if someone is just like stuck in the bad thinking, the pit of despair, how do they begin to crawl themselves out?
It's a really good question, and it's different for everyone because we're all unique individuals and we face many different kinds of circumstances. But I've noticed that there's three main things that people get stuck in when they're facing grief or challenges in their life. The first one is that pain that hasn't healed. Obviously, we're affected by the event or whatever has happened in our world. And if we don't allow healing to come into that space, we carry that pain. So that's one thing that gets us stuck. The next thing would be that fear of what might go wrong. Like you don't want to make a choice to move forward, but then trip up or have a setback or something happens that you're worried there's going to go wrong. And then it freezes you and then you don't move forward because of fear. And then the last one that I noticed, the main thing that people struggle with when it comes to moving forward is people who feel like they're not good enough. Maybe they're punishing themselves because this bad event's happened and they're blaming themselves. But I help people get through these three different things by simply slowing down, talking honestly about what's really going on and showing them that they're not alone through this. I think that's the big key. We tend to isolate ourselves when we go through a difficult challenge. And so I like to get alongside people and let them know they're not alone, because once people feel like they're seen and they're safe, well, then they can start talking through these things that are holding them up and start taking those small steps through their valley.
Hmm. Well, I can really relate to a lot of what you said, especially the trouble in slowing it all down and being kinder to yourself. Because isn't it so tempting to say, like, well, I have all these things happen to me. I need to do more and work harder and pile on more. And then it seems like that's a real path to burnout.
Yeah.
But you say, well, it helps to kind of share the pain with others and have this extra help and sometimes talk it all out. And it doesn't take that long. You just kind of, reassess and stay calm and figure out a better strategy moving forward. And so with your pastoring and your helping of people, I'm sure you've seen some things, right? Like you've done your own recovery, but you helped different people. And so is there anyone in particular you feel like telling us about, someone that maybe went through quite a transformation, just so that way we can see how it can go?
I've got an incredible story of a young mum, and she'd had three kids already. She was in our church community, and she fell pregnant when she recently moved to our area in Stanthorpe. And they were planning on just camper vanning around Australia and traveling around, but they ended up staying in our community because they loved it so much. And she fell pregnant, but unfortunately early on had a miscarriage. And any of our female listeners out there can possibly relate, because it's such a tragic event when this sort of thing happens. And so we got around her and supported her and encouraged her through her grief and through her loss. And she was just so excited to have another child. And so pretty soon after that that baby passing away, miscarriage, she fell pregnant again. And so she was excited, filled with all the joy again. And okay, this is it. But again, the same thing happened. She had a miscarriage, and sadly, this hit her even harder, because this is like the second child lost in the space of a year and a bit, and she was really struggling. But again, we got around her, we encouraged her, and we even prayed. We're people of faith, and we just believed for something to turn around. Well, soon after that, she fell pregnant again, another time. So she's had three kids, two miscarriages. So this is her I guess sixth pregnancy. And again, at about 12 weeks, got the news that there was no heartbeat. She went for the scan. The person doing the scan checked for a heartbeat, etc., and showed, well, look, here's blood flow over here, but not here. So unfortunately, that baby was pronounced as a miscarriage as well. So we thought enough is enough, and we got around her and we just stood in faith again and supported her. And then a miracle story. 3 days later, after getting that report, you go to the scan place again, just for a final scan, and then to talk about how they're going to deal with the miscarriage. And at that scan, they looked for a heartbeat and found a heartbeat. and it was a miracle. She was overjoyed. And they had they checked 2-3 times because it's like this baby was dead 3 days ago and now there's a heartbeat. Not only that, when they measured the baby, when they couldn't find the heartbeat, it was measured at 10 weeks and this was at 12 weeks. So they're saying, well, the baby passed away 2 weeks ago. When they measured 3 days later with the heartbeat, the baby measured at 12 weeks. So it wasn't just a life miracle, but it was a restorative miracle. This baby had restored the growth that it was meant to have had. And we got to help this person through their grief and see them come out the other side with their victory. And it was just so rewarding to see someone who had every reason to quit, every reason to just walk away, even from their faith, or, because that's a huge thing to face. But to hold on and to be able to support this person and help them hold on and walk the path and journey with them to see them have their miracle baby, who's now coming up to 2 years old. So it's just a fantastic story. It's just a joy to see stories like that.
Oh yeah, I can definitely imagine how rewarding that could be, and helping people in that way. And we all have our struggles, and I know that you have this really amazing framework called VICTORY, victory. So I know we don't have time to unpack every little aspect, but can you explain that to us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Very quickly, the victory framework is what I've created out of my own journey, but then also the 20 plus years of coaching, mentoring, and encouraging others. And so it's very simple. The V in victory stands for validate the valley. So we like to be honest about where we are and what we're facing and what we're going through. The I stands for identify the obstacles. So what's really holding you back as you progress through what it is that you're facing. And so we name the fears, the habits, the things that are going on that are tripping you up. The C stands for clarify the vision. And so where do we want to go? Without the Bible tells us without a plan, without a vision, the people perish. But even people who don't have faith would understand that you need a roadmap. You need to know where you're heading, otherwise you're lost. And so we paint a simple picture about the future that you want, and we start taking small steps towards that. And that's where we come to T. T is take action, one small step at a time. If we freeze and don't move, well, we stay camping in our valley. But the goal for everyone that I interact with is, even if it's baby steps, it doesn't have to be giant leaps or strides because you may not feel ready for that, but small steps through your valley so that we can take action and start moving. The O stands for overcoming setbacks. So in life, there's always setbacks, whether you're in a valley or not. There's always things that prop up and challenge us. Setbacks are part of the journey, but they're not the end of it. The R stands for rebuilding confidence. So I like to walk through people and help them win the small battles first so they can build their confidence and realize that they can move forward. And then finally, the Y is yielding to purpose. Living with meaning, but not just survival, like what you've been living through up until the point that you interact with me. I help you live with purpose and meaning and put value on the journey that you're on so that we can move you from little steps to those giant leaps towards your victory over your circumstance. So it works really well. It's not about perfection. It's never perfect, but it is about progress. And that's what I love, to see people making progress in their journey as they take their next steps.
Beautiful, wonderful. And I don't really know how to put it into words, but there's, as far as self-help and religion and just this whole category of bettering yourself, like there's so much to it, you can't even keep it all in your head. And I feel like I have to listen to some kind of steady, reliable, just good advice, and different things wash over me. And I go to church with my mother once a week, and just like some little ping of something just says, there's no way I can hold it all in because there's so much to know. But sometimes I'm in just kind of have a little bit of a struggle, a little problem, and I hear just the right thing that I hear. And it's like, it shifts around like the waves of the ocean, doesn't it? And it seems like lately I've been hearing a lot about like grief, or about how the things that you want are on the other side of fear. But you tell me, what do you think maybe needs some attention these days? Where do you, with all the people that you see, like, where are the people struggling? What are the current trends?
I think for me, the most simple way to approach what you're asking is people need to start by listening to someone. So whatever you listen to, that's what's going to influence you, obviously. And so you need to start surrounding yourself with people who will do the journey with you. And for me, people might think, oh, he's a pastor, he's going to religify me. That's not what I'm about. I'm unashamedly a pastor, but I help people from all walks of life simply by listening. Sometimes people just need to be heard. And I don't preach at them. I'm not trying to fix you. I simply just listen, because you know what? Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a story through grief or whatever's going on in their life. And everyone's pain matters. Whether you're a person of faith or not isn't the deciding factor as to whether I'm going to help you. I help people see that their valley doesn't disqualify them. And so I try to encourage people that understand that they matter. You know, your pain can actually shape you, just as it's done in my life. And whether you have faith or not, we can still talk about hope. We can still talk about healing. We can still talk about purpose in a way that makes sense to you. And so I would encourage people, if you're overwhelmed and there's just so much in your mind and I've got to retain this and take these steps, you know, just start with someone who listens and who cares and who gently leads you on that pathway through the valley.
Very nice. Talk to someone. Talk to someone who cares, who can be compassionate and on your team and wanting you to succeed. And there's so much good in the world, right? There's so many people out there who want to hear about your problems and to just like, you know, be a helping hand in that way. And so with everything that we've discussed here, right? You've told us stories, you've told us about, you know, personal issues. What do you think is the missing question in our conversation? What do you think I should be asking you? I just don't know what to ask you.
I think the one thing to talk to me about is, how do I move forward? People are frozen, people are stuck, people are just stuck in their grief and don't know what to do. The number one question you can ask someone who you know is going to help you is, how can I move forward? What can I do practically to walk through my valley? And I've got great resource available to my community that I like to make available to give you the simple tools. I don't like overwhelming people, because, you know, grief-stricken people are overwhelmed already. So they don't need countless things that they need to remember and do. I just like to focus on one thing, one at a time, tick the box, and continue to hold your hand and walk with you through your challenging situation. So the one thing you'd ask someone is, how can you help me move forward?
Mm. And it seems like I'm sensing a little bit of a pattern in our conversation of just like that you don't have to get it all solved overnight or in one day, right? Just kind of make some small, consistent daily progress and get on that path. I know you're all about keep moving forward. And I think like Confucius or someone says, it doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you do not stop. And as we're considering a lot of what you've discussed with us, what are some next steps here? If someone says, man, this guy, Jeremy Greening, he has a lot to say. I'm curious more about who he is and what he does. Who do you help and how do you help them?
Well, I'd encourage people to take one step. That's the whole moving forward idea. That's it. You don't have to fix everything in a day, because you won't. You'll just have overwhelm if you try and do that. But you've just got to be real about where you are. And that's what I help people do, to just literally be honest about how you're feeling, what you're facing, and what we can do. Just one little thing, one little tweak, one little adjustment. And I mean, maybe that step is encouraging you to talk to someone you trust. Or maybe it's encouraging you to take a deep breath and say, look, I can't do this alone. And then you reach out to someone like me or a family member or a friend who's going to walk with you. Or maybe it's simply just getting you to firstly admit that you need help. That could be your little step. But the thing is, you don't have to have it all worked out. You just need to take a small step. Some people wait to be sort of perfect and in the right frame of mind before they take action. But so your victory starts with your first small step. And I mean, if you don't know where to start, reach out to me. I've been helping people for 20 plus years through their own valleys, not just grief, but overwhelm, anxiety and setbacks and identity and purpose. All these things I love to help people through. I like to be known as the victory guy, because that's my passion, to lead people through their valley to their victory. And so I walk through the valley with people every day, and I'd be honored to help people take their next step if I can play some small part in them moving towards their victory. But the pattern that you've been talking about, Robert, and I'm going to say it again, the one key, please keep moving forward.
And if someone says, I would like to keep moving forward, I would like to have that conversation with Mr. Jeremy Greening, where should they go? What are some websites, contact details?
Yeah. Best place to contact me is on my website. It's valleys2victory.com, valleys plural, valleys2victory.com. And you can leave your name, email, contact number on my website, and I'll reach out to you with information, resource, and welcome you as part of our community. And I'm invested in your success. I want to see you overcome where you're stuck right now so that you can move forward in your life. And so I want people to thrive. And so by connecting with me, one thing I can assure you is that I'm not just someone that's going to give you a bunch of programs and leave you alone. I'm going to be heavily invested in you moving forward. And so head to my website, leave your details, and let's connect.
Valleys2victory.com to turn pain into purpose. If you want clarity, breakthrough, personalized guidance, Mr. Jeremy Greening walks you through step by step through your valley. He helps you identify obstacles, rebuild momentum, and keep moving forward with confidence. And as far as your speaking and your pastoring, like if someone is in the area, would they know your church? Would they know where to find you?
Yeah, well, my church, like I said, we're in a small country remote town of Stanthorpe. It's about 3 hours southwest of Brisbane. And our church is called Vineyard Christian Church. So you'd be more than welcome to join us if you're ever in the area. Again, reach out on my website and let's connect. And would love to just catch up with you if you're ever in the area as well.
Wonderful. Now, you never know, right? If you're visiting family there or on a road trip, you're heading near Stanthorpe, or you see it on a map, you're like, hey, where's that sound so familiar? Maybe it's because you heard Mr. Jeremy Greening on a podcast and you should stop by his church and say hello. And speaking of saying hello, you go to valleys2victory.com, fill in that form, get that conversation started. And we've been speaking with him because he is co-author with Pat Mesiti in the book Stories of Strength. And you can find out all about him and his story on Amazon.com. And before I let you go, Mr. Jeremy Greening, it's time for the scary part of the podcast where I try to stump you. I try to put you on the spot by asking about a fun or interesting quote or lesson. So what comes to mind as far as a fun or interesting quote or lesson?
Sure. Well, one of the truths I come back to again and again through this journey that I've lived is this. You don't have to finish where you started. See, the valley isn't the end of your story. That's what you need to understand. It's actually the beginning. And there's always another step. There's always another breath, another chance for you to keep moving forward. So victory isn't about being perfect, but it's about refusing to give up. So don't give up. Reach out. Let's connect. And let's see you move towards your victory.
Beautiful. Reach out and take that imperfect action towards your victory. Valleys2victory.com. And thank you very much, Mr. Jeremy Greening, for being an amazing human being and being in this book. And most importantly, for being here in this moment, speaking with me. I'm glad that you showed up and gave it your A game, as they say. So thank you very much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Robert. It's been a pleasure to have some time with the community, and look forward to catching up with people in the future.